Hi, welcome to Mom Talk. Today we're going to be discussing Halloween safety tips. So this is my favorite time of the year. You know, now that I'm a parent, I have to think about safety for my kids. What are some things that y'all do to keep your kids safe?
Well, when the kids were younger, I definitely go with them when we went trick-or-treating and made sure that, you know, they had their costume was comfortable for them to wear, so I didn't have to end up carrying wings or hats or brooms on the way back.
Right.
And but of course, as they got older, they were able to
go on their own.
To go on their own, and you just set those parameters of you can go 2 streets over. Don't go any further than that. They don't have a light on. Just keep on walking to the next lit house.
Yeah.
If you don't see a lot of lights, turn around, come back.
Awesome. I was gonna say, I read somewhere that it's good to also, like you were mentioning the costumes. It's good to make sure that the costumes don't have any sharp points, like if they're carrying, you know, a dagger or whatever. Because if they trip and fall, they could really harm themselves. I never thought of that. I mean, you buy a costume and you don't like think they could hurt themselves. But if they're carrying around a blade and they, you know, trip and
over
it's sharp,
yeah. Even if
and then
it's
even
plastic.
like the masks to make sure that they have a hole large enough for them to see completely. So I never would have thought of that. I remember when I was a child and I'm like, this is all I can see. This is all I got. I don't know if a car's coming, but this is all I got. So what is something that you do?
Well, it's very hard to find a well-lit neighborhood. I mean, most of the neighborhoods are just pretty dark, so we just always take flashlights. Glow sticks are a good
glow
idea.
sticks, yeah.
Depending on, you know, how long you're planning on being out there, then flashlights are a little more dependable, but...
Right.
Yeah, my kids are still young enough that I have to go with them, but if it's a neighborhood that's not very busy, then we'll follow in the car, so we're right close behind, and then we can observe, and then that also gives them a little chance to show us that they know the boundaries and stuff, because we've been practicing every year.
Awesome.
So they're getting a little more independent with it, but not on their own yet.
Yeah. That's a good question. How old, like, is old enough to say, okay, you're old enough to go by yourself? And, you know, everybody should decide on their own what they feel is best, but how old were the girls when you were like, okay, y'all can go?
Well, I think the oldest was 14, so they were 14, 13, and 11 when they went out on their own.
And 3 is good. 3.
Yeah.
Safer,
Yeah, they were together, so they were able to hold
But
each
11
other's...
would probably be too young to send by themselves or with their friends.
I think it depends on the person and depends on the neighborhood they're in, and then again depends on the time of day they're going. If it's not too dark, or you got lots of neighbors that you already know, that you're comfortable with them going to. I mean, if it's a neighborhood,
plus if you're sitting out, I notice a lot of people sit out and pass out candy, and they're keeping an eye on their kids just down the street. I'm like, that's pretty smart.
Exactly. Yeah, most definitely. Well, and then the glow sticks. I always notice that, because
I notice it too late. I forget it, and then when I'm out, I'm like, oh.
Well, they put them inside their trick or treat bags, so it's like their little pumpkins glow. So it's really cute.
Plus, they get a sneak peek of what's inside their bag.
Like, I can't see the light anymore.
Can I trade you?
Yeah.
Trick or treat.
Yeah. That's chocolate.
I actually think the main thing that I would be nervous about. Well, my oldest is almost 11, and I don't think, even though we've drilled this into their heads over and over, you know, we just wait and check the candy when they get home and all that, and that's the main thing I worry, is that if they're out there by themselves, they're gonna sneak a couple pieces and be like, oh, these wrappers are fine, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of worry about that, but.
Well, HalloweenSafety.com, they posted tips, and it talks about that, and it says to feed your kids just before you're leaving, and it'll help them not want to be like snacking on the Halloween candy on their way home.
I wonder, sending them with a snack or something.
Oh, yeah. Like, okay, if you maybe giving them a piece. Okay, this is a piece of candy you can have while you're out, but don't touch the rest. That's a good idea.
Or just little, you know, those little bags of cookies or something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they need something sweet.
That way it's
They
like...
did those Halloween packs of cookies this year. They had little...
Oh, cute.
I thought about getting those, but I didn't. I didn't.
Get little
candy.
Well, another thing to do, if you know what area you're going to be trick-or-treating on, you can go on the, and look for the sex offenders in the area, and that way you know what houses not to go to. So, you know, and if you're sending your kids, say, okay, you can't go to these houses because, you know, unacceptable.
Yeah.
Not safe.
Well, and...
That's a good tip.
Yeah, doing that. I mean, just driving around the neighborhood
Yeah.
before it happens, maybe a couple of days before or a week before, maybe even taking that walk. Instead of just walking around and...
That way they're familiar with the area.
And of where to go. Especially if you've decided to go outside of your neighborhood because you don't feel comfortable necessarily trick-or-treating. Or it's trick-or-treating's just not good in your neighborhood.
It's not in our neighborhood. Everybody
last
leaves
year-
and it's like nobody's...
Last year we had
Yeah.
nobody in our neighborhood, but the year before that we were packed, and
Oh, really?
it was a good night for trick or treating. 2 years ago,
We'll have
so
to
we're
come over
hoping
here this year.
Yeah,
we
me too.
invited people to come over this
Yeah.
last year, and it was like wah wah. So hopefully this year's a little
Yeah.
better because we really enjoy just passing out the candy.
Seeing all the costumes.
Watching scary movies and then pausing it so we don't scare anyone.
Cute.
You know, and they always send the
Yeah.
littlest ones up to go
Yeah.
say trick or treat.
Yeah.
Trick or treat, here's your candy.
Yeah.
Because they don't say anything.
Some people give the adults candy. He's like, and something for you to get you through the night. And I'm like, thank you. Wow, how nice of you.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah. I'm like, that's awesome. Thanks.
Well, my son likes to take 2 different masks so he can hit up the house 2 times.
Oh, really? they're gonna be like,
Now
yes.
that's strategy. We're
kidding.
sharing some strategy.
You get an extra one for creativity there.
Yeah.
It also says if you have older kids and they have a cell phone, you should ask them to check in with you every hour, depending on how long they're going to be out, and to set a time for them to come home. That way, you know if something, and to tell them how important it is for them to be either home at that time or if they're running a little late to contact you, so you're not worried.
Yeah, get them a smaller trick or treat bag so they have to come back and empty.
Right.
And so get a fresh
They're gonna hit up the
bag.
house again. I swear you didn't give me it. Oh, look, it's empty.
Like a little tiny tiny tote.
That's a good idea, though. If their bag fills up, they have to come check in more often. That is
exactly.
Here's bag number 2. Oh, maybe that's...
Especially if you have like 11-year-olds that you want to, say, okay, yeah, you can go with this.
Yeah.
Come back. You can always, and that also, the whole thing of them eating candy in between. Hey, let's check this candy. Pick a couple of pieces that you can have while you're filling it up again, or
Right.
something like that.
Trick-or-treating starts early. I used to think it was at night. But, I noticed that people go, 5 o'clock. They're already walking around with their kids, and I'm like, that's too early for me.
Well, and I think it's, because sometimes
Safer,
it's on the
maybe?
weekends and sometimes it's on school days and, it's a work night the next day, and maybe just not to battle with darkness.
That's true. I guess it's safer. And the teenagers do come out, when it's...
The teenagers.
They do! And that's when you have to... If you have a teenager, you got to tell them, do not vandalize, or you're going to clean it up yourself. I never did when I was younger. Did y'all? I mean, it's too late to get, arrested for it now. But did y'all ever do anything like toilet paper people's houses or eggs?
Not on Halloween, but I toilet papered a house once and egged a house once. But the toilet paper, we went back and helped clean it up.
Did you?
But
That's funny.
But it wasn't a Halloween stuff.
I was like, I wonder what that feels like. Don't do it. But it says, that if they are going to vandalize, explain to them the difference between tricks and vandalism. And if they're caught vandalizing, make them clean up the mess. And that animals, you have to be kind to them. Because I guess Halloween is the time of the year that people, hurt cats and
The black
animals.
cats.
That is so sad.
It's horrible. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
They don't even adopt black cats out around this time of year because of it. That's
It's
horrible.
a strange tradition, unfortunately. It's sad.
It's horrible.
Well, this is sort of off topic, but I have to say it. There was, I was listening to some talk radio, and they were talking about dressing up cats and how that's just crazy that, you're dressing up your cat like a bumblebee.
For Halloween?
Yeah. And
Oh,
he's like,
cute.
well, I have a black cat, so I don't need to dress up my cat.
People already avoided. Don't cross my path.
Or maybe you should dress it up.
Camouflage the black cat. There's a safety tip.
Spray paint it silver or something.
Spray paint the cat. That's
Well,
funny.
with the hairspray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make it sparkle. I was thinking.
Or think of pranks like that for maybe spray paint the neighbor's cat. Not spray
Hairspray.
paint. With the hair
coloring. The safety one, yeah.
Or call ahead to a parent's house, or
So can I
to the
please
parent.
toilet paper your house?
The kids are talking. They want to toilet paper your house. Will that be okay? We'll make sure they come and help clean it up afterwards.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That way they can get that little, we got to do this,
Yeah.
out of their system. Because it's a fun, I guess it's fun to get into things, it's.
Well, and it opens that line of communication. If they are going to be naughty and want to do something kind of sneaky, because trick or treat, it's kind of.
It's implied.
There.
And
Yeah.
you were the one that asked me.
Yeah. And it could be something that would be, I would think, okay.
Yeah.
In a good way for them, if they want to do it, to feel open to talk to you and say, hey, I really want to go.
Oh, and then they're like, Mom's cool. She's going to let us do that. Maybe let them do it to your house. Y'all can toilet paper our front yard. I don't have trees.
I have to pick someone else's and send them over there to clean it up. No, that's horrible.
We don't have trees, so it'd be like, whatever.
The bush.
The bush. It's
potted
reachable.
plants.
Yeah. Not that one. That's expensive.
The next one, that one's delicate.
That's basil. Stop it.
It'll wilt.
Well, do y'all have any other tips that you'd like to share?
Oh, goodness. I have to think for a second.
What about a tip about
Don't get in people's
how much
cars.
candy they get?
Oh, I know.
Checking it afterward. You check it, but as you're checking it,
Chocolate's not
you
good
can
for your
kind
teeth.
of.
Well, yeah, that's a given. When you check it, you get to kind of put a little to the side.
Well,
Is
and
that a
not just
Snickers?
that.
I'm
I
so
mean, if
sorry.
there's that much of it,
Yeah.
you can kind of weed it out and say, these aren't.
We do that when we go trick or treating and she gets like a bunch of candy. She'll have a couple and then we'll take some out and then she's like, but we don't take out a whole bunch that it's noticeable because otherwise we'd have a bunch of candy all the time. So we just slowly take out a handful and as she's looking, it's like, it's good. I'm like, you're eating your candy. But but we're taking some out that way. It's not like I still have candy. Give me candy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We always have the girls put it into Ziploc bags and they have to keep it in the kitchen or in a location to where it's not going up to their room and then gone in a day. Or taking it to school and that could be a problem.
I have something I remembered, and this totally happened to us. We were out trick-or-treating last year, and Desiree was kind of potty trained, but not completely. But she had underwear on and not a diaper, and she had to go potty. And we're in another neighborhood. And I was like, and then she said she has to pee. And I'm like, what are we supposed to do? We didn't have a portable potty with us, which you should get. Seriously.
That's a great idea.
We didn't have a diaper or nothing to put on her, nothing. So we had to ask someone, can we please use the bathroom? And the lady was like, okay. It was a very strange request, but she understood, and it was kind of embarrassing to have to can we go into your home? Thanks for the candy. And use your bathroom.
I would think
She was fine with it, but it was kind of embarrassing to ask. I was like, oh my God, I'm unprepared. How do we not think about it? Is how I was feeling.
Well, and sometimes you can't prepare for that necessarily, because even if, she had an accident, you could change it after. I guess that would be a lot easier to change a diaper then.
Well, we were struggling to find a house, but take a portable potty or take diapers and make sure they go before you go, because...
And reminder this year
to go potty.
What happened last year, or a reminder that under any other circumstances you wouldn't walk into someone's house or something. Yeah. My son has done that before.
My husband went in with her,
He just walked right in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was very odd, and I was like,
Yeah. What did the person say? Were they like, no?
Well, no. That was the weirder part. They were just kind of standing there with the door open, and a couple of the kids got right up on the doorstep, and Malachi was just walking right in because he's, just comfortable that way.
Wow.
So,
and they were,
get back here.
It's just nervous when people seem a little too friendly. Like there was a man passing out candy, and he was a little like, ooh, he was too enthusiastic about
children.
Yeah, what's your name? How old is she? It's like, stop asking me questions. I don't know you. Like, take your candy back.
And with that, maybe parents need to make sure that they're vocal, because a lot of times the parents do stand away and they don't come to the door. They let the kiddos go.
Oh, I go
up to They just stand on the sidewalk while the kiddos go up to the door, but we're talking with them or they're talking with us, and there's that communication right there to where the parent's letting you know, okay, I'm their parent, I'm here with them.
Yeah.
I'm shining the flashlight on your front porch.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, so talk to the person and make sure they know that you're there.
Yeah. And that's important, because if you're trick-or-treating in your own neighborhood, and I didn't think of it till now, but if the kids are walking to that neighbor's house by themselves and they're getting candy and there's no adult, so they're communicating with this person, if they're a pedophile, then they can easily, like, hey, I gave you candy the other night, like, make a connection with them as a friend, you know what I mean? That's usually how that works, so that's scary.
Yeah, most definitely. But I think when you're in a neighborhood, it is good to walk around, maybe if you're not familiar with your neighbors, do those walks around the block a few times in October, just to... to get to know your neighborhood and who's around, who's mowing their yard. Let them know who you are. Let them see that you have children and that you're around. So there is that, if maybe you're with your child and there's, you're in your own neighborhood, you feel comfortable enough to rush back home to get batteries for the flashlight real quick while they're still trick-or-treating, because maybe they're 9 years old, then it'd still be nice that they know who they're comfortable with.
Right. If there's another adult talking to those kids and they see the kids every day because they walk the street, then they're like, okay, those are not your kids, those are my neighbor's kids. I see what you mean. Mm-hmm. So what are some alternatives to trick-or-treating? If you don't want to take your children door to door, there are other community options. What are some that y'all have heard of?
Oh, a lot of local churches will have fall festivals. Sometimes they even have games where the kids earn the candy, and if they win the game, they get to pick a piece of candy out of the bucket, or sometimes they even have moon jumps and other activities.
Food.
It takes up that block of time.
I came from one of those places tonight. I did.
Yeah. It's a little carnival.
They have, the mall would have stuff. But the church part.
Churches usually have fall festivals or trunk or treats. We went to a few of those last year, and they're pretty safe.
Oh, most definitely.
They're all parishioners, and they pass out the candy, and sometimes they'll have vendors and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. It can be more fun than going door to door with mosquitoes behind you.
Most definitely. Well, and then even if you decide to do both, you could just go to a few houses like grandma's house,
right,
grandpa's house, aunt, uncle, your good friends,
right,
and just go to those certain houses to do your trick-or-treating so they get that experience if they want to do that. And everybody always wants to see your kiddos in their costumes.
Yeah.
That's just... and they want to show them off.
And the great thing about this trunk or treats is they actually have them the whole month of October, so that way you can use that costume more than once. You spend the $20 and it's like one day really, but you get to use it for every time they go somewhere, so it's pretty nice. But your community should have the list of any events that are in your area. Ours, you can go to Corpus Christi Fun for Kids on Facebook or Coastal Bend Mamas. They have them listed on there. But this was a great discussion. I want to thank y'all for joining us for Mom Talk, and we'll see you next week.